I'm sorry, you wanted me to give you a reaction. Oh no, Scary Kid. It's not like we haven't seen that before in 1,000,000,006 other horror movies. You know, the 2023 The Boogeyman was much more scarier than this movie was, and that movie was actually trying. This is bad. This is the type of movie that is perfect for a Super Bowl weekend because nobody's gonna go see it except for the people on Friday. It's gonna be that one day that it has, and then the drop-off's gonna come on Saturday. Then nobody's gonna go see it on Sunday because we're all watching the big game. And exactly what happened here. May have been the #1 movie, but it was quickly forgotten almost immediately. Yeah, it made its money back, but congratulations, you just wasted 67 million ticket buyers' time with this garbage. This is a new take on the classic boogeyman, or monster in the closet, who is the eponymous antagonist of the film. The plot concerns a young man, Tim Jensen, played by Barry Watson, who must confront the childhood terror that has affected his life. Wow, we haven't heard this story done before millions and millions of times beforehand. The Grudge just came out 3 months ago, and it's nearly the same movie, almost, with a couple of notable exceptions. So that movie was done better, with better jump scares and a better storyline, and just more fun to it. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is exactly what you expect from the movie, dumped in the first few weeks of the year. The studio does not give a crap about it whatsoever, and this is the end result of it. Like, it's not even scary, man. Like, it's not even scary for it. It's like, if you took your date to see this movie, I hope you got some action, but you're never gonna remember. But you've never remembered this movie since it came out. I'm willing to bet if I asked somebody about this movie and said, "Have you ever seen The Boogeyman?" and they might be thinking, "Oh, you mean the one from last year?" No, I mean the 2005 one with that guy from Seventh Heaven, and the character from Zooey Deschanel's sister who was on Bones. What are we talking about? Yeah, exactly. You never remember this movie, and because it was a success, of course they made it into a franchise of bad direct-to-video movies that somehow got even worse. Than the original film. And yeah, I don't think I need to say anything more about this movie in general. I mean, yeah, you could say that it's produced by Sam Raimi all the time. Yeah, you could say it's made by It's written by Eric Kripke, who would later have much better success with Supernatural. But when your film is directed by the same guy that made the Sylvester Stallone Get Carter remake, that's probably a sign that you should abandon all hope, ye who enter here. And yeah, I think most people really took that advice as soon as that first weekend was over. Nobody went to go see this movie, and rightfully so, because it's a piece of garbage. So yeah. Not much more to say about that one. It's a terrible movie, dumped in the first few weeks of the year. Of course it's going to be bad. So let's see if we can turn the tide with our last movie here, and that is Deborah Messing and Dermot Mulroney in the romantic comedy The Wedding Date.
Little sister's getting married. Her ex-fiancé's the best man, and she doesn't have a date.
We always thought that we would marry off Cat first.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Count it. 6,000 even.
Hi, I'm the new guy.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little nervous.
Close your eyes and remember what an incredible woman you are.
Oh, wow. You're worth every penny.
The Wedding Date, rated PG-13, starts February 4th.
Speaking of movies we've seen done before, stop if you've heard me this plot already. The film is about Deborah Messing, who's a single woman who hires a male escort to pose as her boyfriend at her sister's wedding in order to dupe her ex-fiancé who dumped her a few years prior. Will they get together? It's a romantic comedy. What do you think? What do you think's going to happen? It's almost the same plot as something like Anyone But You. Like these two people clearly don't like each other. Clearly they're going to hate each other throughout the course of the movie, and they're not going to get together. Which, of course, they are. But, yeah, you would think that with people like Deborah Messing and Dermot Mulroney and Amy Adams in one of her early film roles, plus Holland Taylor from 2.5 Men, you would expect something more from it, but nope, not at all. It's just a movie that is just the same stuff we've seen done over and over and over again. You know, these two are not. It's at first feel like they're not going to fall in love with each other, and then they have to have that big third act breakup before they realize that what they had was so important to one another, and then they're going to get together at the end. And it's just like, you know, we've seen this done before over and over again, and when it works, it works very well. This movie doesn't work very well, and I know this because I saw this movie in a theater almost 20 years ago. I was kind of duped by it. I mean, I saw Deborah Messing on Will and Grace, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. I mean, why not? And, yeah, I don't remember that movie at all. Like, I saw it once, never saw it again, and I had it on DVD after it came out. It came out for the first time, and then I got rid of it because I never watched it, and I think I don't even know if I might still have it as part of, like, one of those 4-movie collections. I don't think I do, but I might. I'm not entirely sure, but, yeah, this was a boring movie. I mean, like I said, the romantic comedy cliches can work if the film is working fine, if the leads were likable. The leads are not likable in here. You don't really buy them together in a relationship. And, like, it's a PG-13 rom-com. You're not going to go in there expecting... If you were, like, the 16-year-old me that went to go see this to see some TNA from Deborah Messing, yeah, chances are you're not going to get that, especially with a scene in this movie where they go into... Messing and Maroney go into a boat, and it's one of the most pathetically put together sex scenes I've ever seen in my life. It drags on forever and ever, and it's a PG-13 movie. What the hell am I supposed to see from them? Like, you don't see anything. Like, you see a little bit of Deborah Messing's side boob. That's about it. I mean, you don't get to see anybody's, like, parts like their actual boobs or their, nether regions, if you will. But, yeah, it's one of the most boring sex scenes I've ever seen in my life. And just, there's nothing about it because I don't buy these two getting together. I don't buy their relationship is good enough for them to come together in the long run here to get to this moment. And it's just not worth it in the end. There's only one thing about this movie that I think is very redeemable about it, and that's Amy Adams, because this was a big year for Amy Adams herself, because this was the beginning of her career beginning to take off. She did this. Then she was in Junebug later in the year, and she actually was on the first season of The Office in the last episode of the season, which should be coming in about February, close to it, about a couple months from now. So this was a big year for her, and she really is the one thing about the movie that I will say is very likable, because Amy Adams is a likable person. She's very charming, she's a beautiful woman, and she's a great actress. And yeah, she's the one thing that you will take away from this movie in general. Everything else, it's just schmuck we've seen done before, and not good schmuck either. It's not funny. You don't buy the main character's chemistry. It's a movie we've seen done to death so many times. It's directed by the same person that did How to Deal with Mandy Moore. Remember how great that movie was? Imagine that, except this time it's with a more mass appeal to it, and it just doesn't work in the end. So yeah, not a good movie, but you know what? If you're going to choose between either this or Boogeyman, this might be your best bet, but even then, it's not worth it.
Ever hear this guy they call the date doctor?
My name is Alex Hitchens. Call me Hitch.
He's the master.
Women relate dancing to sex. Get out.
He's the man.
The secret to a kiss is to go 90% of the way and hold.
I said come 90, then I come 10. My love was open, Albert. He's a mess.
Whenever I'm around, I just can't get my stuff right.
Will Smith.
I think you have food allergies.
Hitch. Rated PG-13. In theaters February 11th.
So in Hitch, Will Smith plays Alex Hitchens, a professional date doctor who makes a living teaching men how to woo women. Unfortunately, while helping his latest client, played by Kevin James, woo the woman of his dreams, he finds out that his game does not work on the gossip columnist, played by Ava Mendes, from whom he is smitten. And, yeah, I mean, for the most part, the movie is really good. It's a very entertaining film. Will Smith is very funny in the movie. The cast overall is great. Ava Mendes, Amber Valletta, I think is very good here. And probably the biggest star of the whole movie that I think really stole the show is this guy.
That's pathetic.
But one man
My name is Alex Hitchens. Call me Hitch.
can help you come close.
Let me give you my number. Do you have a pen?
See, a movie like this makes you remember that Kevin James is a very funny comedian, and I mean he's on the King of Queens. He was on the King of Queens at that time, and he proved that he's got a lot of charisma to him. He's got a lot of comedic charisma to him, and in this case, yeah, he's very good in the movie. He really does steal the show. He's the big breakout star of the movie, at least in my opinion, because I think he really has to. He has to compete. He has to work alongside Will Smith. I mean, Will Smith works in comedy very well, but, you pair him up with Kevin James. Kevin James, I mean, he does a very good job of working with him in general. And it just goes to show you that, Kevin James can be very funny when he's not involved with Adam Sandler's company or group of people where they just basically reduce him down to just trying to be the next Chris Farley, which I like Kevin James, but he's no Chris Farley. Nobody will ever be better than Chris Farley was, even as much as they try. Not to say that I hate Kevin James in general. I just hate that every time I see him in something, and I think, you know, you've got a lot of great talent, man. I've seen you in so many movies and shows where you're very funny, and then you reduce yourself to starring in Adam Sandler's movies, really bad Adam Sandler movies too. Plus, man, I mean, he's pretty much Fred Flintstone. I mean, this is the guy that should have been Fred Flintstone in Viva Rock Vegas, because, you know, he gets Leah Remini in King of Queens, and he gets Amber Valletta in this movie. I mean, the guy has a lot of charisma, and he makes it work. Like, he makes it work very well. Like if Will Smith isn't the biggest draw of this movie to me, it's Kevin James. So I think he's very funny in this movie. I think it shows a lot of the true potential that Kevin James had back in the day before he eventually got sucked into the Adam Sandler whirlpool, starring in really bad comedies with them. But like I said, I still think Kevin James is funny, but not as. But yeah, when he stars in those type of films like with Adam Sandler's name under them, it just kind of reduces talents down a lot to just being the comedic fat guy. And no, he's more than that. Like in this movie, he definitely shows that. I mean, I've seen him in a lot of other movies where he's proven he's got a lot of charisma and he's a very good actor. But yeah. As far as the film itself goes, it's fine for what it is. The story overall is pretty generic. It does fall into predictable rom-com territory. But unlike something like The Wedding Date, where we talked about it on the last episode, if you can make it work and make it charming and fun to watch, it could be really good in the long run. And I think in here, it works very well. I think it works just enough to say that, okay, I buy into it. I'm willing to go along with it for the long haul, and I think most people did at the same time, at around this time too, because the film was a big hit with critics. It was a huge box office hit. It was actually one of the 10 highest-grossing films of 2005. So there was a lot there. I mean, there's a lot there to admire about this movie in general. It's a really good film. It's very predictable, very formulaic at times, but you know what? It works well enough to recommend it. I do recommend it very much. There's a reason why it's still playing on television over 20 years later on TV. Like, you see it a lot on Freeform, you see it a lot on FX, TBS, all those networks. Like, it's a movie that has held up very well over the last couple of years. It's a very funny movie. I can't recommend it enough. Hitch. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Who's Heffalump Movie.
Coming only to theaters February 2005. There's something mysterious. Something strange. Something different in the 100-Acre Wood.
There's only one thing it could be. A heffalump.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Who's Heffalump Movie.
The first heffalump expedition in history.
Let's go get him.
The heffalump expedition is fraught with danger.
You just can't argue with a word like fraught.
Who's there? I'm a heffalump.
I like this kid already.
My name is Herfridge Trumpler from Pete Heffalump the Fourth.
It does sound rather heffalumpish.
An all-new motion picture about the differences that bring us together and the friendships that last forever.
If we didn't stick together, we would be very lost indeed.
Who's Heffalump Movie. Only in theaters, February 2005.
Did you happen to see the heffalump I just captured?
You got me there.
I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with Winnie the Pooh. I mean, you know, these movies that came out in the 2000s may have not been great films in general. I mean, probably the best one overall is the Tigger movie, but they're fun, comfort food movies. I mean, then again, most of the Winnie the Pooh stuff in general is. Like, Winnie the Pooh kind of falls in the same category as the Peanuts movies, you know, the Peanuts characters in general. Like, they don't really step out of their time. Their timelessness, and then when they do, it does work very well. Like, the only time Winnie the Pooh's ever done that was with Christopher Robin, the live-action CG movie, which is a good movie. And but here's another example of simplicity making it work as well as it can with this movie here, Pooh's Heffalump Movie, where basically you have the story of, you know, It's a quiet day in the 100-acre wood, and it quickly grows mysterious when a strange sound echoes through the trees, a sound that can only be one thing, a heffalump. No wolves are mentioned in this movie, or seen in this movie. They're mentioned a couple of times, but not as much as the heffalumps are. When the friends devise, Rue sets off into the wood and discovers a heffalump named Lumpy. To Rue's great surprise, heffalumps are quite friendly and playful. And after meeting Lumpy, Rue wonders why the others are so frightened by him and why Lumpy is so afraid of Rue's friends. And upon discovering their new friendship, Rue and Lumpy's loved ones realize that heffalumps are nothing to fear at. And filled with humor, heart, and heffalumps, the warm and wonderful adventure is great fun for the entire family. You can see that this synopsis was clearly written by Disney. But, yeah, it gives you the basic crux of the whole storyline in general here. And you know what? It works. It's fun for what it is, because it is. It's the one that goes back to taking the Winnie the Pooh movies to a more simpler approach, you know? Unlike the past couple movies where they have to throw in this massive third act random action sequence, like in the last movie where, you know, Pooh and Piglet are going to fall off of this log, and it just or in the first movie where Tigger and Roo are falling off this mountain, and it's just like, no, that doesn't really work as well as something like, you know, Pooh's Grand Adventure, which works very well on that front. Because of what they were trying to do, because that's a bigger adventure for them, and it just works better on there than the Tigger movie or Piglet's Big Movie. But here, it's a much simpler approach. The storyline is nothing too grand or too amazing, but it's a very interesting idea. It's a movie that's clearly meant to be for little kids, and adults can still get enjoyment out of it. And it does a good job of kind of expanding on the idea of heffalumps and woozles. I keep saying the heffalumps and woozles because I'm thinking of the song from The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. But no, it gives you a new perspective on heffalumps. Like, it doesn't change the whole idea of heffalumps and just completely ruins what you've been told about them already. There's just, the whole idea is that, you know, they've talked about heffalumps for so long, they really don't have any idea of what heffalumps are really like. And here you have a movie where you have a friendly heffalump, and you see that, hey, they're all not as bad as you give them credit for. And you know what? That's a really good thing to teach kids. You know, don't judge a book by its cover. Pretty much that. And yeah, like I said, kids will really enjoy this. Adults can really enjoy it too, especially the ones who love Winnie the Pooh. The animation still looks really good, and it's still pretty decent for a film on a big screen. Like, it's funny because as I'm recording this today, the Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim trailer just came out, which looks really cool. It's a really cool looking Lord of the Rings animated film, so I'm really curious to check that out. But it's going to theaters, and I was really conflicted on how I thought about that, because, you know, the movie could be really, really good, and it could look pretty good on the big screen. But I was watching that trailer, and all I could think to myself is, nothing about this trailer really screams out big screen theatrical animated film, like a movie like this. But then again, you have a movie like this that doesn't really scream out a big theatrical style adventure, and yet it's still fun to watch on the big screen. So maybe I'll feel the same way about that movie in particular. But we'll come to that road when we come to that one, when that comes out at the end of the year. But the animation overall in here is very good. There are a toy boat. And there are a lot of nice songs here done by Carly Simon, and overall, it's what you'd expect from a good Winnie the Pooh movie. Kids, I think, will really enjoy it. The adults will enjoy it as well. It fits right up there with some of the best of the Winnie the Pooh movies. Just good fun all around. I can't recommend this one enough. Really good time overall.
Welcome to my life.
Based off of the character from DC Vertigo's Hellblazer series, Constantine is directed by Francis Lawrence, who gave us I Am Legend, Water for Elephants, and many of the Hunger Games sequels as of late. It also stars Keanu Reeves as John Constantine, in which he's approached by a detective, played by Rachel Weisz, who needs his help to prove that her twin sister Isabel's death was not a suicide. The dead woman was a devout Catholic, and Angela refuses to accept that she would have taken her own life. She asks Constantine for help because he has a reputation for dealing with the mystical, and in fact, he is a demon hunter whose sole purpose on Earth is to send demons back to other regions. The nether regions, if you will. John himself has been to hell, and as a young man, he committed suicide, and now that he is determined to return there on his death. Let me rephrase that again so I can say it properly. As a young man, he too committed suicide and now knows that he is destined to return there on his death. So, yeah, okay, so got that part out of the way. But hopes that his good deeds may somehow find him a place in heaven. As he looks into Isabel's death, he realizes that demons are trying to break through to the human world, and this battle leads him into a direct conflict with Satan. And honestly, I was very surprised that I didn't end up hating this movie as much as everybody else did, because at the time, this was a very negatively reviewed film. It was a hit at the box office, but maybe not the big hit that they were hoping for, but it was not a critically successful movie in general. And I was actually really surprised when I saw it for the first time when I was doing December, and I looked at it and was just like, you know, this actually isn't that bad in general. In fact, Constantine in general is a fun character that you can work with. They actually made a great TV series with Matt Ryan, which was on NBC, and he's kind of made that character his own because he's been returning for the various DC animated movies down the road. So I'm glad to see that character is very much still a character that's still being used to this very day. And even though I like the movie, there is a lot of things against the film that I could talk about. There are a lot of major problems. For one thing, it's the visual effects that kind of ruin the ebb and flow of it, because they really do look fake, particularly on the demons themselves. When you see the demons in this, they really do look fake, and it's hard to be scared by something that looks 100% fake. In fact, Lawrence has the same problem, I think, with I Am Legend, because he builds up these monster-like creatures, and when you see them front and center, they really do not look real by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I think Roger Ebert kind of said it best. He said that hell looks like a post-nuclear Los Angeles created by animators with a hangover. And considering that we're going to have another movie where the visual effects in that movie look abysmal coming up a little bit later on and look even more terrifying than the creatures in here, that's not a good sign for this movie going forward. But on top of that, the plot can get way too complicated at times. We basically have two nicely handled stories that probably would have fell on their own merits, but they decided to throw in a bajillion 6 different subplots in this movie, and each one gets more complicated and more convoluted, and it creates a lot of major plot holes towards the end of the movie. And it's just like, why did you decide to throw these in here? It's just like, really? There's a little bit of attempt at comedy that they try to throw in there. Like, there's this whole running gag about, you know, Constantine, the smoking habits, and it's just really unnecessary, although I'll admit the payoff at the end does work out in its favor. So I may have not liked the jokes themselves, but it at least led itself to a nice payoff at the end. The cast overall is a mixed bag. I thought Keanu Reeves was pretty good as Constantine. He may not be the same character that we know from the comics or even what Matt Ryan did in the TV series, but the movie and Reeves do a good enough job of trying to keep as much of the character from the comic in the movie's portrayal. Rachel Weisz is pretty good in here too, playing essentially Constantine's damsel in distress, which at least she doesn't sound like a whiny bitch like she did in The Bourne Legacy, because in that movie, that was a movie where it's just like, wow, you really reduced this actress to a really lackluster role in general, and in that movie at least. And I thought Peter Stormare was actually really good as Lucifer. In fact, it's one of the few times where I thought the visual effects looked really good in general. The rest of the cast, though, not so much. You know, Tilda Swinton, Shia LaBeouf, Gavin Rossdale, Djimon Hounsou, they have all these big roles in here, and none of them really shine out or break out in the film. And they just don't feel like they were really using a lot of their talents in general that they would show in other movies. I thought the music was pretty good. Klaus Blaudet and Brian Tyler do a very good job on the musical score. It's a very mixed bag of a movie. I think it's going to be judging by how Reeves has been in these types of films before. It could have easily been a disaster, but the film overall is trying to make an entertaining film, and it doesn't quite necessarily hit the marks it needs to hit, but it's a film that I think is done good enough to recommend it, at least for a one-time watch. I think the direction is very good. Reeves is very good in the title role. Some other good casting here and there. Some of the music is very good. And like I said, it's doing a better job than something like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or Catwoman did. If there was a better script here to work with and better visual effects, I think the movie probably could have worked better. I'm glad I saw it, but it's not one I'm going to be rushing out to get to watch anytime soon. I'll stick with the television series. Thank you very much. But then again, it's all right for DC, because later in the summer, they're going to have a movie that's pretty much going to define their legacy going forward, and we'll get to that one in the summertime. But until then, let's talk about our next movie that we have here, and that is the family comedy, it's not kind of an adventure, but family comedy, Because of Winn-Dixie.
From 20th Century Fox.
I know it's hard moving all the time, and that's part of my job.
She was the new kid.
But they already have a picture.
In a town where even neighbors were strangers.
People in Naomi used to rely on each other.
I think people forgot how to share their joy.
Till the day she made a simple wish.
If it's not too much trouble, I'd like a friend.
Somebody go grab that dog! Don't get away!
And everyone started to feel the magic.
Go, pal.
Wait, that's my dog! Come on, boy! Come on, Winn-Dixie!
You
not need a dog.
You know how you always tell me that we should help those who are less fortunate? He's less fortunate.
From acclaimed director Wayne Wang.
Hey, Dixie, where are you taking us?
Gertrude, the parrot, doesn't like dogs.
Ow!
Well, that's crazy.
And the celebrated best-selling book.
Better watch out! That dog's headed right for the witch's house! Hey, Dixie! Dixie, where are you? Stop it! Did you eat my dog? When Dixie's better at making friends than anyone.
Teach us to love one another.
Jeff Daniels.
This isn't a dog, it's a horse.
Cicely Tyson.
He sure loves peanut butter.
Dave Matthews.
I was just playing for the animals. They seem to like it.
That dog's magic.
Eva Marie Saint.
It's a bear.
It's just Winn-Dixie.
That dog is smiling at me.
And introducing Anna Sophia Robb.
They never want to play with us. Whoa!
What is going on around here? Get away from there! Oh, that's a wedgie.
So yeah, you can clearly see that's a family movie marketing in 2000. That's how most of them are marketed for the most part. But funny thing is that my sister actually has dogs that are very similar to the dog that Winn-Dixie is. I don't know if they are actually a Burger Picard like Winn-Dixie is, but I never thought I've seen dogs smile like that in real life. I think they use CG on this. I wouldn't be surprised if they use CG on it, but that actually does happen in real life. Dogs actually can smile like that. I never knew, especially that type of dog. I never knew that, but this is because of Winn-Dixie. This is the family film directed by Wayne Wang, who gave us The Joy Luck Club, Smoke, Blue in the Face, Anywhere But Here, Made in Manhattan, movies we've talked about before on this show. Actually, his next movie will be a film I actually do like of his, Last Holiday. But in this film, it's just based off the book of the same name. Anna Sophia Robb, who actually makes her film debut in this, and has gone on to have a pretty decent career in general, but she plays a girl named Opal who moves to a new home in a trailer park. She has no friends. Her father, played by Jeff Daniels, is always doing something. He sends her to Winn-Dixie to get some food, and when she gets there, something is going on. People are chasing a dog. He jumps on a manager who tells his workers to call the pound. Opal doesn't want him to go there, so she says he's hers, and she names him Winn-Dixie after the supermarket where she found him. She goes home to ask her father if she can keep him. He lets her do so, and she makes a lot of new friends over the summer. She also almost loses Winn-Dixie in a thunderstorm at a party. They make friends with the father with the kids at the father's church, and old people smart and wise. Opal learns a lesson that you can't hold on to people who do not want to be held on to. And you see a cast that also includes Dave Matthews. You see Harlan Williams there, Cicely Tyson, Eva Marie Saint. The cast also includes Elle Fanning, Dakota Fanning's sister. Yeah, that's some of the more notable names in here. And, you know, as far as the movie itself goes, it's fine. It's really a harmless movie in general. There's nothing really that bad about it per se. It's just a movie that's kind of like, it is what it is. Like, you see the trailer for it, you know what you're kind of getting yourself into here. It's a lighthearted family film with a really good, strong leading performance by Anna Sophia Robb, who, like I said, has gone on to star in some pretty good movies, Bridge to Terabithia, and among other things. Maybe not good movies in general, but she was pretty good in that movie. But something else of noteworthiness in this particular case is that this film was actually the last film from 20th Century Fox to be released on home video. We're kind of in that period where the VHS era is coming to an end, and slowly but surely these studios are starting to move exclusively to DVD. And this was one of the first. I believe this is one of the first ones where a studio said, you know, we're not going to support VHS anymore after this. So, as far as I know, this was the last movie released by 20th Century Fox that made it to home video. Although I could have sworn Robots and Revenge of the Sith made it to video. Maybe Revenge of the Sith not so much, but I thought Robots did. But according to this was the last movie that, according to Wikipedia's page, it says it was the last film to be released by 20th Century Fox on video. So we're going to be getting to a couple of these movies as we get further and further into the year's movies, because a lot of 2005 movies will be the last ones to hit videos, as you know, Blockbuster Video is moving strictly to DVD. We're still a couple of years from the HD DVD and Blu-ray boom coming up in a couple of years, but yeah, so that's a little piece of history there, I guess, for the film, I guess. But other than that, though, the film is fine for what it is. Nothing too significant, nothing too amazing, but it'll entertain the kids, and it'll warm the parents' hearts too. So, yeah, that's an example of at least a decently good family film. And then you have our next movie, which is Son of the Mask. And I'm just going to tell you right now, be afraid. Be very, very afraid. Because if you have not seen Son of the Mask, you have been warned.
It's been sleeping soundly for over a decade. Now, this unforgettable legend that was created by the gods is returning to once again change the face of mischief.
Find that mask!
New Line Cinema presents
Who's a happy baby?
the next generation of mischief.
Mommy.
You said Mom. Can you say Dad?
Mother.
How are you and Albie doing?
Our son is bouncing off the walls.
From the director of Cats and Dogs.
I am Loki, god of mischief. Give me my mask!
I think my dog ate it.
This February.
What's happening?
One mask fits all. Jamie Kennedy.
Honey, I think it's time we trade up.
Alan Cumming.
It's a fake.
Yes, but it's a good fake. Ow.
And introducing Otis as Otis the dog.
Buckle up, baby!
Son of the Mask.
Is it over? Is the nightmare over yet? I mean, good lord. That is... Wow, that is bad. Yeah, I cowered in fear watching that. That was just... The effects alone are so abysmally bad. Like, they're not just abysmally bad. They are absolutely terrifying. That whoever said, let's make a CG baby, it's gonna be... That'll be funny. And... That's the tame version that's the tame version. In the movie, it's so much worse. It is so much worse. And, you know, it's weird because this was a movie they've been talking about doing for years. They've been talking about doing a sequel to The Mask for years with Jim Carrey back in the 90s. But after Ace Ventura 2, Jim Carrey kind of stepped back from doing sequels until Dumb and Dumber 2 recently and recently Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But, They finally made this movie in 2003, and they were already promoting it in 2003. Imagine that you saw Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. You saw the last movie in the Lord of the Rings series, and then you see this trailer come up.
Known through legend. Feared by all. Forged in the heavens by the gods themselves. Some people spend their entire lives in search of such powers. And others are just born with it.
Oh my god, that's even more terrifying. Seriously, who the hell decided to make a CG baby look that absolutely terrifying? I mean, holy mother of God. What the hell were you thinking, New Line Cinema, when you greenlit this? Okay, I've kind of already given you an idea of how I feel about this movie, but let's talk about the actual movie itself. And do I really need to? Because I think those trailers give you a good idea of what you're in for if you're gonna suffer through this, because this movie is a sufferable movie. But Jamie Kennedy plays Tim Avery, who's a cartoonist who loves his dog Otis. Then one day Otis finds a strange green mask, and Tim puts it on, has a baby with his wife with the mask on. The baby then gets a hold of the powers of the mask. Meanwhile, Loki, played by Alan Cumming, must find the mask before Odin, played by Bob Hoskins, gets mad. I mean, what more do I need to say about this movie? This is one of the most horrifying movies I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, this is... It's amazing that this is not on my list of the worst movies ever made. In fact, I haven't even checked that list in a while. I'm getting ready to do like a thing on the Reviewing Network talking about my 30 least favorite movies of all time. In fact, I'm going to check right now just to see. Nope, I was completely right. This is indeed in my top 30 worst movies list of all time. This is like 27 on the list here. So, you know, I could wait to talk more into this movie, but you know what? If anybody out there is even thinking about watching it, please don't. When I watched this movie the first time, let me tell you, I never really understood how bad of a movie it was. I really just came out of it going, okay, whatever. It's one of those movies that I saw it in theaters. I was 16. I was going to movies by myself. Any opportunity to go see a movie by myself. It was a sequel to The Mask. I'd go for it. But it's one of those movies that sticks with you for a few years until you fully realize what an absolute mess of a movie it is. And let me tell you people something. This is a mess of a movie. The original Mask is a great, hilarious comedy that perfectly lives up to the insanity of the character from the comics, as well as setting Jim Carrey as the dominant comedic actor of his time. But in this, I have no idea what the hell New Line was trying to do here. This took everything that made The Mask such a terrific movie and just ruined it. This movie just looked so stupid. It is really one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen. There was no thought, no love put into this movie at all. Nothing was put into this movie except to scare the living bejesus out of you. Even if this was aiming more for kids, this still would not be suitable for kids. Kids will be scared out of their minds out of the half the shit they pull in this movie. And what's worse, this is directed by the guy that did Cats and Dogs, you know. Which was an over-the-top kids movie of its own, but at least there was restraint to it. It was harmless, it was kind of fun, and it wasn't literally trying to scare the bejesus out of you like this piece of garbage is. Nobody with brains would enjoy this movie, and no kid is going to appreciate this movie either. Instead, they're going to be shitting and peeing their pants while watching it, because good lord, like, it really says something when honestly I would rather watch Dumb and Dumberer again than watch Some of the Mask again. It's no wonder that Jim Carrey for the longest time said, no, I'm not doing any more sequels to this, because if he would have said yes to something like this, he would have never come back from it. He would have pulled a Sean Connery after League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, been just like, yeah, I'm done. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Like, this movie is everything that's wrong with Hollywood and making sequels long after they're past their time. There's nothing about this movie that is worth it. Everything about it is just an ungodly mess, from the visuals to the bad casting. Jamie Kennedy's career pretty much ended with this movie in general. And it's like, what the hell were you thinking with these creepy visuals? The lame brain comedy, everything about this movie is a mess. It's just, it's an insult. It's an absolute insult of a movie. And quite frankly, what more do I got to say about it? Son of the Mask. It's just a lousy, lousy movie, and you need to avoid it like the plague. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, which is Downfall, which I don't even need to show you a trailer, because I think you know exactly what I'm going to bring up from this particular film.
Raum, Kalte, Jose, Krebs und Butter.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer sind Sie?
I don't think I really need to talk about the movie in general, because you know what? That meme has essentially been what everyone talks about whenever you think of this movie. And, yeah, because, yeah, that scene in particular seems like a straightforward scene. But, good old the internet, they are able to take the subtitles and change it into beauties like this.
Es bleiben im Raum Kalte, Jose, Krebs und Butter.
Das war ein Befehl! Der Angriff Steiners war ein Befehl! Wer sind Sie?
I mean, it got to the point where even the Cleveland show, the Family Guy spinoff, was making a parody of that particular scene.
Polygon out at the Sindwar, a Staffelborg and Stegen, our Sim Sluggen.
Wir sind sie und sie ist schlimm und weint die Quatsch in your head und trifft deine Beste, die du hast.
I mean, what more do I even need to say about that scene? I could just end the review right there, but I'm not going to do that. So, the story here in general is that it's set during the Battle of Berlin in World War II, where Nazi Germany is on the verge of total defeat and depicts the final days of Adolf Hitler, played here by Bruno Ganz. And it also includes a cast that includes most notably Thomas Kretschm, who you'd see later on in stuff like King Kong and Avengers Age of Ultron. And believe it or not, the movie actually did garner some controversy because it showed a human side of Hitler, and a lot of people, you try to do a movie where you show kind of the human side of Hitler in general. In fact, I'm looking at why this was so controversial. It was the subject of dispute by critics and audience in Germany before and after its release, with many concern regarding Hitler's portrayal in the film as a human being with emotions in spite of his actions and ideologies. The trail sparked debate in Germany due to public publicity from commentators, film magazines, and newspapers, leading the German tabloid Bild to ask the question, are we allowed to show this monster as a human being? Which, I mean, I get why this would be very controversial, but if it's working to the film's advantage, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not going to be one of those people that says like Hitler was a good guy. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm not going to be like Mark Schott who said that, or maybe I think, knowing him, Donald Trump probably has said something like that. But yeah. Maybe Hitler was a good person back in the day, but I'm not going to say that here. I'm going to leave that to you people out there to do that. And just for the fun fact that I'm going to be looking at the comments later on for this, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I shut the comments off on this, because this could get pretty messy right away. But with this movie in particular, the movie actually is pretty good. And, it's a very memeable movie for that particular scene alone, but at the same time, the film overall is very solid. It's a very good film, a very engaging film in general, directed by a director who has not made a lot of great movies. I mean, his next movie after this was The Invasion, which was just a watered-down version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig. And then he also did the Diana movie, which was very controversial when that came out. Not the good Diana movie, not the Kristen Stewart one, but no, the one where it was the 2013 one where it was the one with, who was it? Naomi Watts, and it was basically that movie was criticized because the focus was being put more focusing more on the relationship with the Pakistani heart surgeon that she supposedly fell in love with, played by Naveen Andrews. But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that movie, but I know it was very, very controversial when that came out, and most people had it on their worst of the year list. So yeah, this is probably the best film this guy has ever directed, and it's produced by Bernd Eichinger, which does not sound now like a name that's very familiar. It doesn't sound like that's a name that you'll be familiar with, but you'll know the movies that he worked on. This is the guy that produced The Never-Ending Story. He did The Name of the Rose. He did, Wrongfully Accused, the Leslie Nielsen movie, The Mist of Avalon. We talked about it on the show. Resident Evil. He's going to do Fantastic Four later in the year. He has made a lot of movies that you are very familiar with. He's actually one of the main guys behind Summon Entertainment, too. So, yeah, there's a lot of people involved in here you may not be familiar with, but everyone's going to remember this movie for one thing and one thing only, and that is because of the meme scene, which, you know what, that's still very funny in general, and, yeah, it's very funny in general. But the movie itself is a good movie. It's a very engaging film. It's a very interesting film in general, and it's a very engaging movie. Like, it's a movie that really does take a chance on itself, and in this case, it does work in the direction they're going for here. And yeah, it's a good movie. It's one I'd recommend checking out. If you can get past the memes of it and the controversies behind it, you can see that this is a competently made movie done very well, and one that I would definitely recommend you check out. So yeah, check out Downfall.
She's waiting to say this. How much can one woman take?
He pulled me out of the house.
Before she snaps. Just another bitter black woman.
I'm not bitter. I'm mad as hell.
Before she forgives.
When somebody hurts you, to take towel. Forgive him, baby.
Not for him, but for you.
Before she learns to love again.
Why are you being so nice?
There are still nice guys around. Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Look at you, draining all the time.
Theaters February 20.
Okay, rule number one, you don't get Kimberly Elise mad at anything, because I saw Almost Christmas, and she is scary with a shotgun. I'll just put it that way. If you've seen Almost Christmas, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. But this is Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and in it she stars as a woman who is thrown out of her house by her husband on their 18th wedding anniversary, and subsequently moves in with her grandmother, who is Medea, played by Tyler Perry. This is the only film written but not directed by Tyler Perry, but this was the movie that essentially launched Tyler Perry into the career that he has now. Say what you will about his movies, a lot of his movies are not that great, but they are tailored to a specific audience, and they will come and see his movies, and you know what? You can't really blame him for the success that he has. I mean, even though he's made a lot of bad movies. He has indeed, but you know what? We're now coming up on 20 years since this movie came out, and he is still considered a reliable filmmaker and one of the most incredible success stories of the last couple decades in Hollywood. I mean, he's one of the reasons why Lionsgate became a bigger studio than just that independent studio that they were before this and Saw came out. I mean, Saw and the Tyler Perry movies were a major significant part of what made Lionsgate the company that it is today. Well, okay, maybe not what they are right now with Borderlands and The Crow having bombed, but you get the idea. They're the studio that are now behind the Hunger Games movies, the franchises, films, John Wick, The Expendables. You know, it started with, this was one of the movies that started it off altogether, and truth be told, I have not seen every Tyler Perry movie, and honestly, I have not seen this one in particular, but like I said, these movies aren't really tailored for somebody like me for obvious reasons, but I have seen a couple of Tyler Perry movies, and I've seen some that are actually not that bad, honestly. There was one in particular that I was kind of like, you know, this one's not. This is actually kind of good. It sees something a little bit different from what we're used to seeing from Tyler Perry, and that was For Color Girls, which had that all-star cast in it, and that was one that did not get the best reception overall, but I thought it was all right. There's been a couple of other ones where I've been kind of like, these are fun movies in kind of the so bad it's good type of level. I mean, the one with what's that one for Netflix? The first one he did. I'm trying to remember what it is. A Fall from Grace is what I'm thinking of. You know, that's one of those examples of a so bad it's good movies with the dude sitting in bed in his robe, just like ashtray bitch. Like the way he says that line, like it's just one of those moments where it's just like it helps to kind of propel the movie to a level where it is kind of so bad it's good. But like I said, I haven't seen all these movies. I really have not seen this one, so unfortunately, I can't really say too much about it. It was a big hit. It did make more than its budget. I mean, this was only like a $5.5 million budgeted film and made back $50 million. So it was the beginning of good things to come for Tyler Perry, and nobody really knew that this character that he would create, Medea, would become kind of his bread and butter. Like you would see him in all these movies, see that character in all these movies, and of course, a lot of these movies came from off-Broadway plays he did. And yeah, it just kind of goes to show you of the longevity that Tyler Perry has as a successful entertainer in general, not just as a filmmaker, but also a guy who has written these plays that have turned into these movies that have become extremely profitable for him as well as Lionsgate, and essentially has led him to open up his own studio in Atlanta, Georgia. I think it's in Atlanta, Georgia. I could be wrong on that. If it's not there, it's got to be somewhere in Georgia. Now I feel like I need to check. I need to double check. Yeah, it's Atlanta, Georgia. I just wanted to make sure I got it right. I don't want to give you guys some misinformation out there, but so yeah. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie in particular, but I have seen some other ones that we'll eventually get to down the road here. But this movie just goes to show you the success that Tyler Perry has had as a filmmaker. Like, regardless of how you feel about his movies, the guy has had a 20-year career, and he's been able to make these movies quick and easy, and they've become most of them have become mainly instantly profitable, and he's been able to have the success that he's had today. So you got to give him credit for credit was due. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, the reunion of Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson after their success with Scream, a movie that was not quite as successful as that, Cursed.
Do you hear that? What's going on up there?
Ever since the other night, things are happening. Things I can't explain.
Ellie, what's wrong?
Just had a really bad day.
Help?
Last night, a young woman was attacked and killed.
Hey, buddy, you okay?
What was that? My dog. What kind of dog do you have? I have a regular dog.
Something's wrong.
The only way you can break the curse is to kill the person who's starting it all. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I needed to talk to you.
Yeah, you can kind of see where the problem comes into play with this movie. Let's talk about the history behind this, because this has one of those notorious production histories. This was a movie that was originally planned for 2003, and it took over 2 more years after it was originally planned because the producers, Harvey and Bob Weinstein, kept asking for reshoots and to change the plot, and re-edited the movie down to a PG-13 than the original intended R rating, and fired veteran makeup artist Rick Baker and replaced the werewolves with CG. And even actually had rumored at one point to hire Eric Goldberg from Disney to do an animated opening for the film. That sentence alone is everything that's wrong with this movie. I mean, first of all, PG-13 horror movies are almost never that good. You get those exceptions here and there, especially for a werewolf movie. And you don't fire a guy like Rick Baker to do who's been behind some of the greatest makeup and special effects in Hollywood history. I mean, he's the guy that was behind the greatest werewolf transformation in American Werewolf in London. This is the exact same thing that happened with an American Werewolf in Paris, because they replaced the werewolves with really bad CGI. And somehow it looks even worse in this movie. The film, I mean, basically you see the plot right there. You've got Christina Ricci and Jesse Eisenberg as 2 orphan siblings attacked by a werewolf loose in Los Angeles. That's literally it. It's literally every single werewolf movie you have seen, except not as scary, not terrifying at all, because you can't buy these creatures because they look so fucking fake. I mean, my God, you even see it in the trailer. Those shots of CG, that clear CG, just abysmal to watch. And I've seen these actors in much better movies than this. I mean, Christina Ricci's been in a lot of great stuff we've talked about. Jesse Eisenberg, going to be a lot of great stuff we'll eventually get to. Joshua Jackson from Dawson's Creek has been a good actor in a lot of stuff. Judy Greer, even Scott Baio, Mario Ventimiglia, Shannon Elizabeth, Maya. Like, a lot of good, talented people. And they're wasted in this movie that was heavily chopped down, and the end result is what you get, a steaming pile of garbage that is clearly devoid of what Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson probably were wanting with this particular film. And there has been a campaign to get the Craven version out there, and you know what? He deserves to have it out there. I mean, they shouldn't have put a Scream Factory release out there until Wes Craven had an opportunity to do his version of the movie. And I don't know if that cut's ever been released. And unfortunately, now that's not possible because Wes Craven is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Wes Craven. I wish you made a better movie than this. But you did make a better movie in 2005, one that we will get to in just a little bit. But yeah, I feel like a better version of this movie probably would be much better to what they were trying to accomplish here. And it just doesn't work. It's just a terrible movie, terrible effects, a waste of really good talent, just a bad movie, just a really, really bad movie. And yeah, I can't even debate on whether or not this movie is worse than the next movie we have, but kind of goes in between, kind of about the same thing. Except while that's a bad horror movie, this is a bad comedy. Tommy Lee Jones starring in Man of the House.
Lieutenant Roland Sharp was searching for a killer.
Oh my God, you guys, come here.
He needed a witness.
He said he saw the bullseye.
What he got
Please tell me this sweet thing is out on parole. Look at him, he's fine.
was 5 of them.
I now know the hottie rating of every ex-convict in the United States.
Now,
I don't think you understand what serious business this is.
the only way to protect them
Nobody is trying to kill us.
Get out of this van right now! Go, go!
Maybe somebody is trying to kill us.
is to move in with them.
First rule, no cell phones. And nobody may leave the house without an escort. Are there any questions?
I have one. Are you always so uptight?
Yes. Set the face on the board, place your hands behind your head.
Do you live here with all these girls?
Temporarily.
Dude, you're my new hero.
Imagine what that means to me.
We're tired of being cooped up.
You know the rules, nobody goes out after dark.
1, 2, 3, tap my hand,
You think he needs backing? Oh, come on. Babysitting 5 cheerleaders? That's not like a cakewalk.
He's laying down the law.
Come on. I should warn you. I know karate.
You better know something.
Calling it back up.
You girls were cheerleaders, huh? Back in my day? We brought it.
Before I go ahead and delve into everything that is absolutely wrong with that trailer, after I stopped there was one more scene I wanted to talk about.
Revolution Studios presents
There's a happy fight!
This is my happy fight.
about igniting the spirit inside us all.
He's got a gun!
I'm working, sir.
Who the hell brings a water gun that looks like a freaking AK-47 to a game as the mascot? I mean, how in the world does that make any sense at all? And no, you can't just go do the Longhorn thing and it's just like, hey, it's okay. No, there's a freaking gun. There's a freaking mascot that has a gun that looks like a freaking gun that we see in mass shootings all over the place. This is one of the many problems with this movie. A movie that I shamefully admitted I went to go see back in the day in theaters, and I've been regretting that day ever since, because let me tell you something. I thought it was just mediocre at the time. I've seen it years later. It has definitely gotten a lot worse than you remember it. So, Tommy Lee Jones, Academy Award winner Tommy Lee Jones, by the way, is Roland Sharp, a lonesome Texas Ranger who goes undercover as an assistant coach to protect a group of college cheerleaders who have witnessed a murder. Most of the film was shot in Austin, Texas. I'm reading off the Wikipedia page. Yeah, group of college cheerleaders. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the ages of the five college cheerleaders in there. Christina Milian was 24 when this came out. She was born in 1981. So, okay, you're kind of pushing it a little bit here, but I guess that can work out. I guess that works out. Monica Kina, who we know as Rachel from Undeclared and on Entourage. She was also in Freddy vs. Jason. She was 26 when this came out. So again, kind of a little bit over the age that you would expect for a movie like this, where the 5 teenagers are supposed to play are actually grown women at this point. I mean, 21 is an adult pretty much. And I'm just kind of killing time here because my page right here that I'm looking at here is freezing. So, how was your weekend going so far? My week has been going great so far. If you want to go check out the latest Movie Stop episode to pass the time, I'll go ahead and leave a link to it in the corner, and the page is back up. Okay, so Christina Milian was 24, and Monica Kina was 26. Okay, let's go to Kelly Garner. Yeah, she was born in 1984, so 22. 22. Okay, she's actually the youngest of the group here. Vanessa Felito, born in 1977. So that means that she is 28 years old when this movie came out. And Paula Garces, guess how old she was? She was 31. 31 years old when this movie came out. And yeah, you can make the argument that this was filmed years beforehand, but even still, these people are way too old to be in fucking college. And this movie, that trailer alone just gives you an idea that they do not give a shit whatsoever about this, about what you think about here. It's just like that trailer has everything that's wrong with comedy trailers back then. Of like, if you didn't figure out what this movie was going to be before that came out, you're an idiot. And guess what? Guess what? I was one of those idiots because, like I said, I saw it opening weekend. Hey, I was still in that less than a year pattern where I had gone to see movies by myself, and I got a chance to choose whatever I want to. So what did I pick? I picked the Tommy Lee Jones movie because I like the cheerleaders in there. What do you want? I was 16 at the time, but yeah, the movie is just bad. And it's another bad movie from Stephen Herrick, who, starting with his last movie he did, which I can't remember now, Life or Something Like It, and Rockstar and Holy Man, yeah, he's been on this downward spiral for a while now, and there's just abandon all hope, ye who enter here with a movie like this. Like Tommy Lee Jones, I expect a lot better from. Cedric the Entertainer, not so much. I mean, this is just his bread and butter right now to be in these terrible movies. Anne Archer, you expect a lot better from, but then again, she was in some bad stuff as well. Like, the film is just terrible. It's a really, really bad movie. The jokes aren't funny. This is like a bad ABC sitcom you would have seen on TGIF back in the day. Like, just nothing of value comes out of this movie whatsoever. It's a lazy movie, a terrible film, just an unbelievable mess of a film. Just avoid it like the plague. Like, there's a reason why this was dumped in the last week of February, because January and February back then always meant that 9 times out of 10 you were going to get some pure grade A garbage. Sure enough, here you go. Here's another one here. So yeah, not much more to say about that one except avoid Man of the House like the plague. If you want to watch a movie called Man of the House, go watch the one with Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Chevy Chase, which is better, but not by that much. But you'll still have more fun than you will with this piece of garbage. Also, how dare you make Arlie Ermey say lines like, "I know the hottie rating of every criminal in the world." It's just like, get out of here with that.